Hey everyone! It's great to be back with you all again. As you've probably seen from watching this channel a few times, I'm a big fan of the game company known as Treasure. From their days in the 16-bit era all the way to classics like Ikaruga and Radiant Silvergun, this group has always been known to pack a punch. I've even done a few videos on games of theirs, including Sin and Punishment and Astro Boy The Omega Factor. But where did a company like this get its start? Look no further than the Sega Genesis in the early 90s, where Treasure would release its first title, Gunstar Heroes. Known for the run-and-gun style seen in games like Contra before it, Gunstar Heroes would receive all kinds of critical acclaim and become a classic among the hardcore gaming crowd. But how does it feel to play today? We're talking about a game that's now over 30 years old. Is it still fast and responsive? Does it still manage to feel as exciting and silly as it did back then? Gear up, and we'll see just how well Gunstar Heroes for the Sega Genesis holds up today!
Developed by Treasure, published by Sega, and originally released on September 10th of 1993 for the Sega Genesis, Gunstar Heroes is a 2D run-and-gun style action game, slightly resembling the Contra series, with the ability to switch between and combine various weapon types, optional cooperative play, and numerous boss battles to conquer. The project was first conceived by Masato Maegawa and a team of other programmers formerly of Konami. Feeling tired of Konami's reliance on sequels to franchises like Castlevania and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at the time, Masato and team pitched an idea to Konami for a new, original title, the one we'd later known to be Gunstar Heroes. The pitch was rejected, and the team split with Konami to begin their own company. Wanting to be known as a treasure to the gaming industry, they decided to call themselves Treasure. For Gunstar Heroes, Treasure, consisting of less than 20 people at the time, chose the Sega Genesis as their platform of choice due to its 68,000 microprocessor, which would allow more freedom in the graphical and visual department. This would also give them the ability to work with concepts like weapon combinations and boss characters with multiple moving limbs. While half of Treasure worked on McDonald's Treasureland Adventure to establish a portfolio at Sega, the Gunstar team would develop their game in less than a year, and the rest would be history. The game's story actually differs depending on whether you're playing the Japanese or North American version of the game. They both involve the main characters trying to stop a weapon called Gold and Silver, whose body is imprisoned on the moon, and the 4 gems that power him, spread across different parts of the Earth. The party has to face down the forces of either Commander Gray or Colonel Red, as well as their former partner Green, in order to save the world. If the style of this game looks like Contra to you, that's no coincidence. Among the 6-person team behind this game, 2 of its members, Mitsuru Yaida and Hideyuki Suganami, had previously worked on Contra 3 The Alien Wars, making them perfect candidates for this title. And the quality speaks for itself. Right at the start, you're given a nice bunch of options to choose from. Your first is whether to play as Gunstar Red or Blue, whose controls are identical. After this, you're given the choice between free shot or fixed shot, the former allowing you to move while shooting, and the latter allowing you to fire in 8 different directions, the option of what main weapon type to start with, and finally, 4 stages to choose from in any order, as the game has 7 stages, with the last 3 happening in the same order. The game has 4 main weapon types to pick from. Force gives you rapid fire with a balanced level of damage, lightning can shoot through enemies, Chaser will follow enemies and work as an auto-lock on weapon with weaker fire, and Fire has a shorter range but is much stronger and works better in close combat encounters. But here's the fun part. You can combine these with another power-up. Doing so mixes the abilities together through different combinations, which can yield all kinds of results. Want a super strong flame attack? You can do it. Lightning but with a homing attack? Say no more. Classic Contra fan? Maybe double force is the right mix for you. The important thing is to try everything out for yourself and see which ones suit you best. And you'll want to learn the ins and outs of these abilities, as the action comes at you hard and fast. The game takes you as low as an underground mine, and as high as outer space itself, with large groups of enemies to take down all at once. It's not uncommon to be surrounded by enemies coming from all sides while you try and move forward. It helps that you have the ability to aim in just about any direction, and can even grab ledges and other handlebars to maneuver with. And on top of that, you can also grab enemies once you've gotten up close to them, and throw them into other enemies. You can also do this with bombs if you're fast enough. Still want more options? You can also perform jump kicks at the waves of enemies coming your way. There's so much you can do with this short amount of button combinations, it'll make other Sega games feel barren by comparison. Instead of losing after getting hit once, like in Contra, you're given a health meter with a slightly more forgiving nature, allowing you to recover after getting hit multiple times and even pick up more health as you traverse through the various stages. It may seem like a simple or even obvious design choice to implement now, but at the time, this was not a common practice at all. In fact, games like this are part of the reason that trend began to slowly change in the first place. And of course, we wouldn't be talking about this game today without the frantic amount of bosses and mini-bosses that appear throughout each stage. Every level in the game is absolutely packed with these enemies, who come at you fast and without mercy. Some enemies appear serious and stoic, while others look downright silly and animated. You never know what you're going to get each time, and that's part of the fun. It also helps that each boss has its own unique setting and strategy to beat, making them far more memorable as a result. The one that stands out to me, and many other fans the most, is the boss at the end of Stage 2, 7 Force. While most battles in this game are known for having 1 to 2 phases tops, this one is known for having 7 different forms that it can change into through a random order each time you play. This, combined with the constant movement and frantic pacing, make for a truly epic battle. Even if the run and gun setup and unique boss battles weren't enough, the game also manages to change up the gameplay style and objectives on more than one occasion. For example, in one of the later stages, you hop into a ship and the gameplay type switches to one of a 2D space shoot-'em-up. While not particularly unique, it is well designed enough that an entirely different game could have been made around it, and I think that's worth noting. And of course, there's also the Palace stage, which has you move across an entire game board with dice, having you complete different sets of challenges with each square you land on. Some of these involve special fights, while others involve timed challenges, with all kinds of silly things going on in the background. It's just another way the developers manage to keep you on your toes, and ensure you're never getting the same experience twice. Even the final stage capitalizes on the game's wacky nature by having you view it through the eyes of the villains, looking in at you on a TV monitor. While this stage is essentially a boss rush mode before the final battle, it still manages to feel like something a little different thanks to this approach. And the final fight itself, Gold and Silver, is also a real test of endurance, boasting a whopping 9,999 hit points to take down, while utilizing attacks with all 4 of the gems. And this is coming right after the boss rush sequence, with whatever health you have remaining. Thankfully, the majority of his attacks don't do a ton of damage, which makes things a little more fair to those with depleted health, but it doesn't make this battle any less grueling. After taking him down, you reach the game's ending, and the story concludes, with Green making a heroic sacrifice to save everyone and stop Gold and Silver once and for all. It's very brief, and admittedly not the most satisfying ending or even story on the planet, but honestly, that's alright, since the story really just serves as a way to get you from point A to point B, and it does so well enough here. No, the real focus of the game is on how fast and fun it is, encouraging you to replay it again and again to experience new things, try to top your high score, and even try out harder difficulty modes. In a world of games with story modes now going as long as over 100 hours just to finish, it's nice to just be able to jump right into something and even finish it within a couple of hours tops too. Don't get me wrong, I love the longer games as well, but I find titles like this to be just as relevant and necessary. Is there anything I'd say that I do not like about the game, or that doesn't hold up well now? Well, admittedly not much. While the smooth controls, fair health system, and ability to restart from certain checkpoints, the game does manage to check a lot of the boxes that help a retro title like this one remain more accessible to newcomers, despite the in-your-face difficulty. Just about the only thing I would take note of is that I would have liked to be able to switch between free and fixed shot like I can in titles like Alien Soldier. There was also the occasional slowdown. Even with the 68,000 processor, you can only do so much sometimes, I suppose. But seriously, this game has earned every bit of praise it's ever gotten. Gunstar Heroes is a showcase to how you can make a game short and sweet while still giving the player just as much of a rush as you'd get from the build-up in a longer title. A game to come back to again and again, just to re-experience the joy it gave you the last time around. It's a game that, while not initially successful at first, did manage to have the last laugh, and became a real treasure among the gaming community, just as the developers intended.
Even now, it's hard to find fault with this title. It's short, sweet, unforgiving, and hilarious all at once, while still introducing a lot of the elements that we'd go on to know this company for later. Keeping a great attention to detail while not taking itself too seriously is an awesome undertaking that I wish more companies would remember to try and follow once in a while. There's no other way to say it. This game is a must-play. It doesn't matter what type of gamer you are. It's just that good. Play it, now. What are you waiting for? It came out so long ago, and it was so good. What have you been doing for those 30 years? Unless you just weren't born yet. In that case, it's not your fault. But, just try it. And that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all for watching. Have you played this game before yourself? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're feeling really generous, please consider supporting my Patreon, where awesome people like Erica, Jedi Dude, Brandon, and CLO all help to keep this channel going. Until next time, my friends. Woo!